Welcome back to the channel. I've been approached recently in the comments section by men of letters, men who have obviously are paid up members of departments of Mannishnessology at university, scholars, university lecturers, you know the type, Polytechnic beards, Jeremy Corbyn t-shirts, you know, likes travels, that sort of thing. But anyway, the point in question, now one was very rude and I told him to get to phone. The other one was perfectly polite, but caused me a few moments of discomfort as I realised I might have gone too far. Now he accused me of overcooking my evidence. This is about the Neolithic long barrows being symbols of aristocracy. Now aristocracy, I'm using the term very loosely. What I mean to say is a class above everybody else. And we can't, he quite rightly says, we can't know who the other people were, if there were any other people. I don't think he directly says that it was a classless society. No, he does. He mentions that class society comes about later on, according to Francis Pryor, in the Bronze Age. But my point is that now perhaps it might not be right to use the word aristocracy. That's a sort of medieval plus sort of word. What I meant to say was upper class, a class above everybody else. Now he not only says that I've misinterpreted, but I've also made a mistake with facts. That I've said that they are all related when 8 of them don't have the same blood as everybody else. And that my conclusions aren't the conclusions of the paper, the DNA people who worked all this out. Now, unfortunately, I do have a defence in the sense that unfortunately for him, the paper says that they are all part of a kinship group. Now, you can argue family relatedness and kinship groups aren't necessarily the same thing, otherwise we wouldn't have 3 different words. But they're synonyms as far as I'm concerned. So, sorry, this is a family affair, that barrow. Now, the only question left is, is there anybody else? Are they a class apart? Now, the people in this barrow are certainly important enough to have a monumental burial. Stones arranged in a beautiful pattern, creating chambers, a long earthen and stone cairn, a picture in the landscape, a memorial for all time. Stone is permanent, remember. Well, it would be permanent if archaeologists didn't obliterate them and take a few stones to the local museum, which is what happened with Hazelton North, the barrow we're talking about. Now, there are things that antiquarians can't tell you because they're academics. They can't take the risk to go into the unknown, which is why you should take time to watch archaeologists like myself, private citizens who can interpret when there are unknowns. I'm certainly not afraid to do so. It's because I don't have the same setup as men of letters. So what I am going to go into detail on another video, one about Neolithic long barrows, why I think there is a set of people who aren't buried there, who are either the tenants, the slaves, lower class workforce, jobbing, journeymen, whatever, that existed out there and didn't have monumental burials, based on tonnage of stone moved, how many people were there, the amount of land that needs to be watched. Bear in mind, while they're building that barrow, somebody's got to be watching the cattle. It's somebody's got to be doing the day job. It's not something that you give up. Certainly in a pastoral existence, you don't give up in winter. You're still going. So it's now I can go through with through those theories with you without having to think about, is this going to cost me my career? So the reason I'm bringing this up is that if I'm going to take on academia with their stipends and their support and their libraries and their degrees and all the rest of it, I wouldn't mind being able to resource myself too, which is why I'm thinking of doing a YouTube membership thing. Now this is going to be in addition to what I do already. I'm not going to slow down on the videos. I'm going to keep putting it out in the democratic spirit of which I believe. But there obviously has to be a valued added part for members. So it's going to be a small amount. I'm thinking 3 guineas, and if you're American, 3 guineas is 3 sovs and 3 shillings basically, or 33 bob if you prefer. And the value added part, that what you would get is access. I'm digitising my library, all those out of print books, so you can see the stuff, the groundbreaking work done by archaeologists of the 1920s and 30s, including some amateurs like myself, that are now out of print and getting increasingly harder to get hold of. Sometimes you'll get a PDF and there'll be a page missing or something like that, or it's smudged, or there's a finger over the scanner, or whatever, just on the page that you're looking for. I've increasingly had trouble buying. I prefer to have paper books so I can thumb through them. I've increasingly having trouble finding them to buy. And my local library, which is part of a network of libraries, I put in a reservation for four books, and they came back to me by email and said 2 have gone missing. They just don't know where they are. So I think for the sake of 3 guineas a month, you'll get access to my library, and I'll digitise week by week, month by month, building it up. Also, I'm going to be doing some Q&As, probably something like that. Q&As, an extra video a month just for members, or early ones for members, something like that. I'm not quite sure at the moment. And the first 5 questions on the first of the month, I will do an in-depth answer, as long as they're not obscene, treasonous, or make me look, designed to make me look stupid on the internet. I'm perfectly capable of doing that on my own. Thank you very much. So, plus you get to support me doing what I'm doing. So if you've got a couple of quid, available for this sort of thing, you would like to support me, let me know what you think, and hopefully join up once I've worked out how to do it. So it is now that time of year when the garden centres are selling hot season vegetables in pots for excruciatingly eye-wateringly expensive prices. But what you get out of it is a head start. I get to try out a new variety without having to buy a whole packet, and I don't have to have the central heating on to germinate things such as chilies and aubergines. I don't want too many plants anyway. I'm not running a business, but it's my main crops are things like potatoes and onions, not chilies and aubergines. Though an aubergine a day would be nice, but I suspect I couldn't manage it. But anyway, fair play to those of you who have won in life enough to keep the central heating on longer than I. My father turned it off on the 1st of March every year, and then we wore a cardigan, and I've carried on that tradition. This is the plum Tsar is its name. I'm sure you're all thinking that'll suit my authoritarian instincts, and boy is it a good producer, very tasty, and it's on a pixie rootstock, so it doesn't grow that tall, that big. It won't shoot into the sky, though it does need pruning. So this is Ford Hook Giant. Took a battering during the winter. The big stems fell off. These are new stems for the spring. Really tasty actually, and I think it's pretty similar to the species plant. This is purple sprouted. It's meant to be purple sprouted broccoli. Now that one obviously is. What is this? That doesn't look purple to me. And I tell you what, that looks a bit odd as well. So this is, I know what that sort of fractal arrangement, this seed is obviously hybridized with I've forgotten the name of it. There's a variety that does a very fractal shaped head. I'll look it up. It should look like this. So, but anyway, I'm saving it. My wife's coming back from seeing family in a couple of days, so I'm going to save this for her because she likes a good bit of sprouting broccoli. And we'll just have to hope this comes to something. But look how small it is. Now the plants themselves, look at the stems. Now these could be bigger. Oh, that's quite small. But look, the stem of that one there is very similar to this one. Now this could be a bigger amount of produce, but it got attacked by pigeons. So it's only the last couple of months I've had this arrangement, this netting to protect it. So it's come back. This was all totally defoliated. And it's come back to give me a crop. So it's never too late to do something about. It's like running a business. You get a problem, you just have to deal with it. Don't let it. Or getting a rash, for example, sort it. It'll never go away. But I've got collies. These collies have been overwintered indoors in the greenhouse, and they should crop in the next month and a half, I should think. So this is another one of those fractal shops. That is not what I bought. So it's hybridized. When they were growing the seed for this, they had two different varieties together. But anyway, yeah, so this is that bed that I showed you we made while you watched. And it hasn't been all that badly battered. Now, there has been some transplant shock. I can see that. So this is spinach. This is bolting a month early. It didn't like being moved here. I think it's bolting. It might not be, but those do look like they're going to be smaller leaves. So the ones at home, where the plants have been happy, they are not bolting like that. This poppy, this English poppy, that responded to transplanting all this different environment by going flat against the ground. That's how they protect their leaves from winter time. So it didn't feel like it was spring here when it was put here. This poppy, the opium poppy, got eaten by slugs. The tarragon, this is a divided tarragon, so I'm propagating by division. And a French tarragon, this hasn't moved, this hasn't grown at all since I planted it. It's the same size, so it's transplant shock, it's just stayed the same. Same with the mint over there. But these have been happy. These are strawberries. They've been happy moving, they've grown. And the coriander, totally fine. And I ought to take a few leaves home. Also, so this is a small area, but it's going to be quite productive. So early potatoes coming up. So they're doing fine. So they've responded. So there's other earlies over there that haven't come up. These ones are the same variety planted at the same time, and they've come up, which means that this covering has provided enough warmth for it to get started. I have to say it's been absolutely gorgeous for the last 5 days, and the moment I press record on this camera is the moment it started raining. The clouds are moving from east to west. That accounts for the cold winds that we're getting. Beautiful hot sun and cold winds, and this is coming over from Eastern Europe. But the prevailing wind here is southwest, so heading northeast. But yes, so permaculture. Why is my allotment so full of bare earth? You might be asking if you are a permaculture-y, and the reason for that is observation. Now, part of the role of somebody who wants to be sustainable in their growing of their vegetables is to observe the situation on the ground. And now I've been here 10 years, and I used to cover as much as I could with straw mulch, hay mulch, any old grass clipping mulch, anything, weeds, rip them up, drop them between the plants. Now, by doing that, you will have the biggest and most beautiful leeks that you've ever seen. It really works for leeks. It works for other plants when they're not being destroyed by slugs. And a rough mulch that is non-composted, is basically a holiday camp for slugs. And the moment it rains well, they use those advanced positions to invade your plots. And everything apart from the leeks that can withstand that sort of thing gets massacred. Now, I noticed I was using a technique to part the rough mulch to the side when sowing carrots, because you can't sow carrots in modules and then transplant. It doesn't work. But you can push your mulch to the side, create a nice tilth, and then sow your carrots. And that widening got wider and wider as I defended my ability to have carrots. Now, I sussed out that the damage was far lower in those areas that didn't have mulching. And I worked out that bare soil, a tilth, not just bare soil, roughly dug, like this over there, I haven't finished it yet. This rough soil over here, there will be slugs down in the gaps. So when you make it fine, finer. I'm not saying it's the finest ever. It is a tilth, incidentally, an Old English word. It's when we till the soil, we turn it over, and tilth is the product. You have tilleth. So that's where that comes from. But it is finally a fine tilth is a death zone for slugs, because their predators can see them a mile off, which is why slugs and snails head for cover as much as they can. So we still need to improve the soil. We still need manure, compost, etc. See, I've got piles of manure, and it looks rough on the outside, and I turn it every now and again. Inside is lovely, rich and black, and it is certain beds, not all of them. Sometimes I just use blood, fish and bone on tilth soil. As you can see with this bed here, it is half composted manure with some properly composted, some proper compost on top, and that's it. And that is a cosy environment for plants. That's got broad beans in it. They're coming up. They're just coming up now. And properly composted, you can do a mulch with proper compost, and you won't get slugger sacks. But I wouldn't put lettuce in there. It'll get. If I do, I'll have to put slug pellets down, and then you're entering a world of. I do use slug pellets, but I don't like to do it. It is like royal protection squad for really important plants. When I do that, I don't just blast the entire plot. I have done when I've lost my temper, but you don't need chemicals. You can use waste products like blood, fish and bone. You can use manure. You can make your own compost from leaves, grass cuttings, and there are other less tasteful fertilizers. But yeah, so that's we're at the very beginning of the season, and there's very little slug attacks. I would have, if I'd had a rough mulch with those broccoli over there, there would be loads of damage on those leaves, as the slugs use it as a operating base, and so they're going into the grass, they're going into next door amongst the grass and the weeds, rather than be in a place where they can get killed by birds and other predators. Frogs. I've got frogs. There's a pond over there. And newts. So yeah, so this is we're just starting the season. There's not a massive amount to do. I've planted all this big area here is all potatoes. That's sorted. Got some onions, got some spring onions and carrots in that finely tilthed area. You must keep it damp. Every day I would do it until they germinate. So we're just beginning. So this is a quick tour of what's going on. I'll keep you updated. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about my membership scheme idea.